Good evening. I'm Sean Roman, pinch hitting for Nisa Petrilli.
I'm Jay Kaplan.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And I'm Anthony Strait.
And this is On the Sports Lines for September 15th, 2016. The middle of September means Major League Baseball is gearing up for the playoffs, and the NFL is gearing up for another crazy regular season. Tonight, we've got previews for the Giants and Jets' upcoming games, the paths the Mets and Yankees need to take to make October, and much more. As always, we would love to hear from you, so please email us at fanspeak@onthesportslines.com. Send your tweets to @OnTheSportsLines and your posts to Facebook.com/OnTheSportsLines. We're looking for a couple of your emails, so please start to send them in. The Giants, they are coming off a nail-biter of a win over their division rival in Dallas, and they're going to take on the Saints in their home opener at MetLife Stadium. So our guys are going to tell you what you should watch out for. Anthony, what are the positives to take away from week one?
One of the things you got to take away from week one is how good the Giants' defensive line played in a tough crowd, in a tough environment in Dallas. Y'all remember, they spent $141 million in the offseason to improve the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. All the money going to Olivier Vernon, J.C. Pierre-Paul got $10 million. Then you add in Damon Harrison, Jonathan Hankins. They played a really good job. They did a really good job of stopping the running game. That was number one. They won a lot of individual one-on-one matchups against arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. But more importantly, what they did was, as the game wore on, you saw them collapse the pocket a little more, get to Dak Prescott a little more. What they have to do, though, what they didn't do in week one, they have to sack a quarterback. They only got 3 hits on Prescott, and they didn't get off the field enough, 10 of 17 on third down. What the defense have to do is they're going to have to get to Drew Brees a little sooner and not wait around until like halfway through the third quarter, because if we all know Drew Brees. He gives him too much time.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
But 3.4 yards per carry for the Cowboys in a running game. Held Ezekiel Elliott to 50 yards rushing, kept them out of the end zone and 3 red zone trips. So the defense, especially the defensive line, really did a good job. If this defense is going to succeed the rest of the way, the front four is going to have to step it up. It's going to have to continue to step it up.
Steve, all right, so what's a negative that you saw with the Giants that they should really improve upon?
You know, to be honest with you, it's the same negative we've seen the last couple of years, and that is the lack of a running game.
Yeah.
When you look at the Giants, you know why they wanted Ezekiel Elliott. You can see that right away from game one. Brandon Jennings is a good running back, but he's not a superstar, not a great running back. And then the game against Dallas, he really didn't run that well. I think he ran probably for maybe 40 yards at best.
Steve, does that go with the trend of the NFL, just to get away from the running game and focus on, having a heavy passer?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of teams that do that. New England certainly is one that pretty much relies on the passing game. The Saints would be another, although they...
And the Giants got 2 Super Bowls out of relying on Eli.
But I think when you look at them and you look at the fact that they don't have Andre Williams anymore either, this guy, Brandon Jennings, has to step up. He's got to get, I would say, at least 70, 80 yards so that the passing game will be more effective. Otherwise, what's going to happen is Eli Manning's going to be under siege. They're going to come after him. And the great passing game they have will be negated because they don't have any sort of running game to neutralize.
You need to change up.
Absolutely.
All right, so Jay, who is the player that you think the Giants most have to have on their radar?
Well, I'm going to take the Captain Obvious route. I mean, it's Drew Brees. Come on, who else is there when you play in the Saints? We all know that the Saints rise and fall in the performance of their future Hall of Fame quarterback. Now, granted, they lost to the Raiders in overtime in Week 1, but that was more about an inadequate Saints defense. than it was about inadequate quarterback play. So, I mean, Brees was Brees. I mean, 28 of 42, 423 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions. Wow. The 98-yarder to Brandon Cooks was just beautifully done. The Raiders secondary had no answer for him, and their pressure barely touched him at all. He was only sacked once. And we all remember what Drew Brees did to the Giants last year. 39 of 50, 505 yards, and 7. That's right, 7 touchdowns.
Wow.
The Cowboys, here's the thing, they threw 45 times against the Giants, but New York's pass defense only allowed 5 yards per pass, nothing longer than 21 yards. Can they duplicate that against Brees? Unlikely, but they need something close, because if Brees repeats his week 1 performance, or God forbid, his performance from last year, Giants are going down.
That's right.
All right, guys, now let's go to the Jets, coming off a very difficult 23-22 home loss to the Bengals in week 1. Have the quick turnaround, taking on the Bills in Buffalo as we come to you tonight. With that in mind, we're going to look ahead to their Week 3 trip to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Steve, what positive takeaway from Week 1 needs to continue in Week 3?
Well, I'm going to put it very simply. 2 words, Matt Forte.
Yep.
This guy has been terrific for the Jets so far. He's been exactly what the Jets needed. They needed a running back who's a little more versatile than what Chris Ivory was. This guy is a great runner. He's a great pass catcher, especially on 3rd down. And I believe he had about 156 yards combined in game 1.
That's what you need.
And that's exactly what you need, especially with a good passing game. So we need to see more of him, get more involved in the passing and the running game. And I think if he is involved that way, the Jets will have a pretty good shot at pulling off a win.
Anthony, what's a negative takeaway you have from watching the Jets the first week?
The secondary by far.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know we all watched the game against the Bengals. It's the fact that it's the miscommunication, number one, and the fact that there were so many receivers that was open. And speaking of which, are we under a conscious agreement that Darrell Reeves is not a shutdown corner anymore?
He's lost his
starting
step.
to slip a
He
little
has
bit.
lost his step.
We saw the signs last year when DeAndre Hopkins had a field day with him. A.J. Green just had a monster game, 131 yards receiving. But here's the number: 366 yards passing, allowed 15.9 yards per pass. They gave up 6 receptions for 20 yards or more, including the 54-yard touchdown pass to Green and a 49-yarder. That kind of negated sacking Andy Dalton 7
He got
times.
him 7 times,
And
which is a lot.
Look, they have to give Darrell Reeves some help.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah,
more.
a
They
little
just leave
more.
him on that. There is no Reeves Island anymore. Like,
No,
AJ
he's a
Green,
peninsula, as somebody
AJ
said.
Green had a timeshare at this point.
Anthony, I got to give you a break to let your voice recover a little bit. So, Jay, which Chiefs player do the Jets need to watch out for?
Well, again, I'm going to go quarterback and, Alex Smith. Now, you guys know that in the past, the Chiefs have rarely asked Alex Smith to win a game for him. They just want him to make good decisions in the occasional play here and there, manage the game well, and don't lose it.
Right.
Then Smith has a game like he did in week 1 in the overtime win against the Chargers, and you just wonder if he could be more of a focal point of the offense. Jamal Charles is still recovering from ACL surgery, and the Chiefs may need more of a week 1 Alex Smith. 34 of 48, 363 yards, 2 TDs, 1 pick, plus the 2-yard run in overtime to complete the comeback. They were down 24-3 against the Chargers, and he led them back to win 33-27. Now, the Jets, as Anthony alluded to, allowed a very similar quarterback performance from Dalton in the week 1 loss. 23 of 30, 366 yards, with a touchdown and a pick. 7 sacks. And here, if Jamal Charles is still not available against the Jets, Alex Smith may once again have to carry the Chiefs' offense. Now, in the past, that scenario normally put the Chiefs at a disadvantage. May not be the case any longer.
I don't think it is.
Good point, Jay. All right, we forgot one thing on our last show, which is making our annual Super Bowl predictions. So now we got a little bit of a head start. We're going to rectify that mistake tonight and give you first our games of the week for week number 2. And then our Super Bowl picks later. Anthony, give me your game of the week and your Super Bowl pick.
My game of the week is actually in the NFC East. It's Cowboys and Redskins.
Yeah.
And there's 2 teams that are trying to avoid the dreaded 0-2 hole. For the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, he played very well, but he didn't turn the ball over. But he has to take shots downfield. That's number one. You mean it's easy to stack the line of scrimmage with 8 men if you're just gonna dink and dunk your way. And if you're Washington, you're paying Josh Norman $71 million. You better have
And he
him.
covers Antonio Brown 4 times.
You better sure
Come on.
put him on Des Bryant and let him go about his business. If you're gonna pay him
right.
that much money.
All right, Anthony, you got a Super Bowl pick?
Nah, let's
Game of the week?
wait.
Okay.
Game of the week. Let's do that first. Steven.
Well, my game of the week is the Vikings-Packers. That's a great battle. It's the two teams, the NFC North, and we all know what a great battle that is when they face each other. The fact of the matter is the Vikings have gotten much better. They're not quite at the level of the Packers, but they're closing in. Unfortunately, they don't have their quarterback this year, Teddy Bridgewater, and that will hurt their chances.
I agree.
But
I was looking forward to seeing him play
when you
this
have
year.
AP, you have a chance to win. If he
is
doesn't
true.
turn the ball over. And we all know as great a runner as he's fumble prone.
He is.
Jay?
I'm going AFC North, Steelers-Bengals, round 1
I
for
don't
this
mind.
year.
I don't blame you for that.
To me, this is a must-see matchup. Both teams are going to be playoff teams. You got 2 of the best quarterback-wide receiver tandems in the NFL. Andy Dalton, A.J. Green for the Bengals. Big Ben going to Antonio Brown for the Steelers. How many big play hookups are each of them going to get? How the defense is going to game plan for these two? Bengals running game and defense were average against the Jets. Steelers got 143 yards from D'Angelo Williams on the ground. Despite the playing the bend and break defense, held Washington only 16 points. That touchdown was garbage. Should be another really good chapter in the AFC North rivalry.
All right, nobody asked me, but I'm going to give you my opinion anyway because I'm actually going to have the TV turned off on Sunday and watch some of the big games Saturday. Oklahoma against Ohio State. Huge game early in the season.
Alabama, Ole Miss.
Alabama, Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Ole Miss
That's another
going
one.
for 3 in a row against Alabama. And my personal favorite, because I like to watch Auburn for some reason, Auburn against the Aggies.
Steve and
All right.
I'll be watching USC Stanford.
Yes, we will.
So now let's do our Super Bowl
picks.
picks. Anthony, you want to start off?
You know what? My Super Bowl pick is going to be a rematch of the Sunday night game we just watched. But Tom Brady will be playing this time. I got Patriots, Cardinals down in Houston, Super Bowl 51.
Well, I'm also picking the Patriots, but the other team I'm picking is the Packers. I think that'll be a great game, high scoring. You've got 2 great quarterbacks, Aaron
I can see
Rodgers
that.
and Brady. That could be a real show to watch.
All right, I'm going to start this by saying I've got my pick and I've got Nisa's. I'm her proxy tonight.
Okay.
We both made these picks at noon on Sunday together. We were both at her house. The rabbi has the timestamp text to prove it, okay? Anthony, you and I, same page. New England, Arizona. Nothing I saw Sunday night's going to make me change my mind. The New England looked really good even without Brady and without Gronkowski.
They're up a game on everybody in the AFC East right now.
And
They
here's the
spotted
thing.
them a game,
And
everybody.
here's the thing. Despite that, Arizona did not show me anything that's making me change my mind. I think they're both going to be there at the end. They may not have enough to get past the Patriots. I think they got enough to get out of the NFC. And I got Nisa's. She's going Houston, Green Bay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Houston.
All right. I am going with the New York Football Giants. One of the reasons, because John Mara, before he died, which was a couple of years ago, in trying to draft Eli Manning, thought that he would win not 1, not 2, but more than 2 Super Bowls and bring him to the Giants. And he got 2 Super Bowls fairly quick, and I think that there's one more left in Eli's tank.
Maybe.
So it may just be this year, and I think they're going to be going up against Cincinnati Bengals because they are due, of all the teams,
Cincinnati.
for a very strong playoff run after all the tough losses in the first round of the playoffs.
They
they've
better
been facing.
hope all of my Steelers get hurt for that to happen.
Oh, wow. You know what? I'm going to kind of piggyback on that. Every time you count the Giants out, they always go on these magical Super Bowl runs
True.
that no one expects, and you never
knows?
know.
It's a
You never
big
know.
deal for them to get that first win when they've been in a lot of close games starting out the season and been on the wrong end of
absolutely.
it.
Have a
Yep.
shot.
They may not live up to the preseason NL East champs hype, but with 16 games left, the Mets have a shot at both wild card spots. They're a half game out of first and currently in that second spot. And that shot improves now that they have no more games with the Nationals. Anthony, what do the Mets need to do to nail down a wild card berth?
It's all about number 52, Yoenis Cespedes. He has to
I agree.
continue to
I like
carry
that.
this Mets offense because when he's hitting, it's infectious. Everybody hits. It energizes the lineup. It gets the clubhouse going. He's batting .290, 30 home runs, 79 RBIs. Kind of pedestrian, but this guy was on a disabled list, 15-day DL.
That's right.
But when he came back, he hits 2 home runs against the Giants in his first game back. The Mets go 16 of the next 21, winning 6 of the next 21 games, getting back in the wild card chase that they almost played themselves out of.
Yes.
Halfway through July. But then we look at the time he hits. The 2-run homer against Cincinnati, the grand slam against Atlanta, and even 2 nights ago against Washington, when they rallied, they came from behind to win that game. He was kind of catalyst, got on base, scored.
Yep.
To me, he's the first big bat that they've had since Mike Piazza, who can literally carry a team to a pennant race. The Lion King has to continue roaring in Citi Field.
I like it,
and
Anthony.
that's the team.
Steve,
Well,
your beloved Mets.
Yep.
Tell me what they got to do.
Absolutely. He mentioned Batman. That's Yoenis Cespedes. I'm mentioning Robin, Jay Bruce. This guy was brought here to be Robin to Yoenis Cespedes' Batman, and he's not so far done the job. He came here with 27 home runs, 85 runs batted in. Batting average, okay, that was around 250, so-so. But since he's been with the Mets, he's hit about 190, has a couple of home runs, and strikes out a ton. Luckily for them, Reyes and Cabrera have picked up the slack and done a terrific job getting on base. But we've got to get this guy going even a little bit. Even if he hit 250 and gave us another 5 or 6 home runs, that would be helpful. But we've got to get this guy going, and quick.
Jay?
Mine's going to kind of dovetail on both of these. The Mets kind of have to improve their woeful hitting with runners in scoring position. Worst in Major League Baseball at 215. Their OPS is MLB's second worst at 644. They have scored the least amount of runs, driven in the least amount of runs. The fact that they have a winning record at a plus 22 run differential is due no uncertain terms of the fact that their team ERA is 3.58, number 3 in the NL, and lots of home runs. 197. Anthony, what's the percentage you gave me before the show? 53%. It's ridiculous. All right. So you talk about Cespedes. He's been the only guy who's been hitting with runners in scoring position, which you expect him. 274, 9 homers, 51 RBIs. His OPS is 963. You talk about Jay Bruce, who was brought in to kind of provide some pop to the struggling offense. 185, 1 homer, OPS is 667, and it gets worse. Curtis Granderson, who was supposed to provide pop from jump, 126, 1 homer, 18 RBI, OPS of 406. Look, this may not come back to haunt them, and they have the softest schedule of anybody the rest of the season shooting for a wild card. Do not play a single team that is over 500 the rest of the way. As Sean said, no more games with the National. But here's the thing. Due to their almost total reliance on the long ball, it makes their offense a feast or famine offense, which makes it unreliable, and an unreliable offense can doom playoff chances. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, you know,
we saw that afternoon.
I'm thinking they got to continue to rely on their ace 43-year-old pitcher in Bartolo Colon.
And he hits, too!
How important has he been in the playoffs last year and being the mainstay of their pitching staff?
Only guys managed to stay healthy.
How can that happen like that? Pitching at 89 miles to 90 miles per hour consistently. This guy is an absolute gem for the Mets.
He certainly is.
Can we talk about the Yankees now, Sean?
Well, let's see. All right, at midseason, no one thought the Yankees would be even within shouting distance of the wild card. But with 17 games remaining, they're 3 games out of the first spot and 2 games out of the second. Their September is almost all Baltimore, Toronto, and Boston. So it won't be easy.
Nope.
No.
Jay, what do you think the Yankees have to do to achieve a wild card spot?
Well, it kind of has to start with Gary Sanchez keeping this ridiculous hitting pace he's got going. I mean, he's very much channeling his inner Shane Spencer and then some. I hope he turns out to be the second coming of Jorge Posada than Shane Spencer. He's only played 35 games. He only has 132 at-bats. He's put up a slash line of 333, 411 on base, 697 slugging, 13 homers, 24 RBIs. I'm going to give you a ridiculous stat right now, and it's courtesy of our pal Katie Sharp from River Avenue Blues. Sanchez finished August with a 389 batting average and an 832 slugging percentage. In Major League history, 2 players in their age 23 season or younger have hit at least 375 and slugged over 825 in any calendar month, 100 plate appearances minimum. Sanchez and Joe DiMaggio in 1937.
That's right.
All right, here's the thing. Since Sanchez has got called up on August 3rd, the Yankees are 24-15, second best record in the AL and best in the AL East. Their runs per game is 4.7. Before that, 53-53, ninth in the AL, fourth in the East. 4 runs per game. Can he and the Yankees, by extension, keep this going? A brutal 11-game road trip starting tonight. You got 4 in Boston to start.
Yeah.
You end with 4 in Toronto before coming home. It's going to tell the tale, Sean.
That's Sanchez.
Certainly
He's
will.
a dirty, dirty hitter. Steve.
Indeed. Well, for me, I'm going to say, first of all, the Yankees are very fortunate to have a healthy Masahiro tonight.
Yeah.
He has been the great pitcher that they always expect him to be, 13-4,
Very
pitching
much.
like the ace that they know he is.
Yep.
And I think for any great team or even good one to make the playoffs, you need 3 good starters.
Yeah.
They have Tanaka. CC Sabathia's record may not be good, but he's pitched extremely well.
Been the Yankees' version of Cologne.
Yeah, he's number 2 on that staff, no question. Now, the third starter, that's the question mark. Will the real Michael Pineda
Please stand up!
I agree.
Come on!
This guy, 6-11 with an ERA over 5, and throws more sliders than Sparky Lau and Turk Wendell combined. Yeah. They have told him over and over, you've got to throw your changeup. He doesn't do it. He has a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. He's capable of striking out a lot of hitters, as he did against the Orioles a couple of years ago. But now they need to get him consistent for the stretch run.
Yeah.
Anthony, what say you?
You mentioned Took Window. That's a name I've heard in a long time. But I'm going to go on a crazy train and say the Yankees' best advantage is their over-the-top tough schedule. And I know, Jay, you was like, what? When I mentioned it.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. When you have a tough schedule, but you're playing every team you're chasing, you don't have to scoreboard watch for the next
That's
2
true.
weeks.
That's
You
right.
control your own destiny. This is 7 against Boston. They play the Rays, who they just took you out of 4 from. They play the Jays, Blue Jays. They swept the Blue Jays just last
Yes, they
week.
did.
And they play the Orioles. All teams like the Yankees are very much capable of beating.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they could go on a winning streak and run the table. We've seen the Yankees done this before.
They
It
have.
reminds me of 1978, by the way,
Yeah.
where they
Yes.
just kind of got
14
hot.
and a half games back.
Yeah,
Games
it's-
on
How
that
old
left
are you, Anthony?
I wasn't around, but I'm a good historian.
There you go.
But here's the day now. After that 9-17 start, 68-50 the rest of the way, and they're playing with house money too because they weren't expected to be in this
No.
position after the
Not
mini
at all.
fire sale just a
Not
month
at all.
ago.
No.
And the whole A-Rod saga. They are the team that has the hardest schedule with the least pressure.
Yeah.
They could go out there and play all they want. Look at the teams they're chasing. The Red Sox, she got David Ortiz final season. The Blue Jays, still the AL East champions. Still the teams that are expected to be there. The Orioles, they're trying to rebound from missing the playoffs after being swept the year before.
That's right.
So the Yankees, it's all in front of them. Go out there, you play, and win the game.
All right, Anthony, that music means it is time for our 3-minute warning, so lead us off.
Thank you. I've never been a fan of John Tortorella, even when he coached the Rangers. His tough guy, do-it-my-way mentality wore off quickly in a place where losing employment is impossible. It shows a time when James Dolan, of all people, fired you.
Yep.
His latest Tortorella moment just adds to the various ones he has on his resume. Tortorella recently stated that if any player on Team USA sits in protest during the national anthem, that he can sit the rest of the game. Can someone tell this fool that the most un-American thing you can do is to punish anyone who exercises their right as an American citizen? Truth is, his act is tiresome, and the leash that was earned from winning a title way back in 2004 inspired years ago. This is a guy who was once suspended for challenging opposing players to a fight. The World Cup of Hockey hasn't started, and he's already publicly throwing players under a bus. Tortorella's appointment as coach of Team USA is an utter joke, and anyone in New York or Vancouver, for that matter, can give you a list of reasons why.
Yup.
The only thing American about John Tortorella is that he is living proof that the land of opportunity gives even a jackass like him one chance too many.
What's happened with U.S. men's tennis? Back in the day, and I'm not talking about a few years ago, I'm talking about 30 to 35 years ago, the days of U.S. men's tennis champs at the top of the leaderboard. Maybe that's why Arthur Ashe, John McEnroe, and Jimmy Connors are so prominent in our hearts and minds, as well as the sports world. Was that the American golden age of tennis?
Yes.
Sure feels like it. Only Serena and Venus Williams are champs now. You can't tell me that John Isner or Jack Sock are close to superstar caliber.
Nope.
Maybe it's not quite enough talent, drive, ego, or effort, but now tennis is becoming what hockey is to Canada. A country's national sport turned into a dominant bastion for foreign stars who play with the zest that the U.S. lacks now. With no American men at the top and no championships to play for. No offense to the great players like Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, Andy Murray, or Rafael Nadal. But these days, the U.S. just doesn't cut it.
The 15th anniversary of 9/11 happened to coincide with the opening Sunday of the NFL season, so there was no doubt that tribute would be paid in remembrance of that tragic day at every stadium. So it was no surprise that several NFL players, including New York Giants wide receivers Odell Beckham Jr. and Victor Cruz, planned on wearing special cleats with designs and artwork commemorating the day. What did surprise, though in retrospect it shouldn't have, was the NFL's initial knee-jerk reaction to it. They threatened to fine any player who wore those cleats for being in violation of the NFL's uniform rules. The outrage the NFL's response engendered was vehement by football fans across the country, but especially in the New York, New Jersey area, which was most impacted by the events of 9/11. Several police unions, not only in the area but across the country, volunteered to pay any fines levied by the NFL against any player who wore 9/11 themed cleats. The NFL quickly backtracked from its stance on fining players, but they had egg on their face for once again showing that NFL stands for no fun league. They once again showed players and fans that their priorities seem to be backwards, that they seem to place more emphasis on fining players for being creative with the designs of their cleats than they do on handing down consistent logical discipline for far more egregious offenses. Shame on you, NFL.
Celebrity culture exposes more about us, the followers of newsmakers, than the people who actually make the news. Dancing with the Stars just got interrupted by protesters after shamed swimmer Ryan Lochte actually danced fairly well. Now, not knowing the level of danger, Dancing with the Stars security tackled one of the protesters who hit poor Ryan on the way down, reportedly tweaking Ryan's ankle. Now, this was different than the drunk guy running aimlessly on a field. See, getting so close while shouting is threatening, and it actually puts someone else's physical integrity at risk. Fans have to avoid this. Now, Ryan, he is a vandal, no doubt, and he continues to lack an endearing personality.
Truth.
But wait, wouldn't you pick him over rooting for the multitude of athletes who have hurt other people, domestically, sexually, or when in some type of random altercation? Now, many of these folks are on your favorite team. And then there's also the lying. He is getting hammered for
Yes,
that.
he is.
But I dare say in response, let he who has not lied in their life cast the next stone. For Jay Kaplan, Steve Ferguson, and Anthony Strait, I am Sean Roman. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. We hope to see you again on September 29th for another edition of On the Sports Lines. And remember, if you want to see this show again or catch up on any of those you may have missed, please check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines. And what else should they do?
They should check out Anthony's excellent piece on Colin Kaepernick at onthesportslines.blogspot.com.
Now, don't you want to wish somebody a happy birthday?
I do. Happy birthday, Connor. 1 year old today, nephew.
Happy birthday, Connor.
And
And
happy birthday, Nolan.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
good night.
Everyone.